Greetings, everybody. It's Marty the JavaScript Party and Rhett, and we just finished up our 3JS video, and it is 11:20. It's still before noon, and the it is March 28th. It is 55 degrees Fahrenheit outside, so it's actually pretty chilly. I took the dogs to the park this morning, and it was pretty cold. So. I watched my video yesterday for today, so I know that we are working on Say Hello. So that is good. And a quick rundown of what Say Hello is supposed to do is basically you're supposed to be able to come in here, something along these lines. So this is an application, iLikeEmail.com/voice/says voice will get you wherever you need to go. And this shows you the API of the voice. Um, and the voice, here's a voice interface, API interface. Uh, and it has kind of it has two modes, one where it can speak and one where it can listen. And I've been fully focused on the listen. I think it's called recognition, voice recognition API. Um, and then there's two, once you get into the listening side, the recognition side, there's two flavors and there's the discrete and continuous. And I think I like email makes sense for discrete. So like if we, konnichiwa, believe is the way you say hello in Japanese. Hello. All right. So see, it says in Japanese. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say there, and I'm going to select Japanese. Apparently, there's a Japanese Japan and a Japanese US. We're going to go with Japanese. So let's say we're going to go on a trip to Japan and we're like, I want to learn how to. Let me do one other thing. Um, I don't think we want 21 max alternatives. We just want one. Um, so I'm going to Japan. I just want to be able to say hello. So I'm going to practice, So I'm going to say konnichiwa. Now, I don't know how to spell konnichiwa in Japanese. I think that's right. So, but basically, I would write some code ahead of time where I got this, and I would look to see if it was the right word, and it's going to give you like a little gold star or something. If you a thumbs up, maybe thumbs up. Um, if it was good, and maybe a thumbs down if it was bad, or something like that. I don't know. But that is, and so so that's the general idea. But I think what I want to work on today. Okay, so first things first is let's just make sure that our local host is port has been released. The port is released. Release the port. Recent, recent, and then say hello. So my goal is, well, I've never seen that little pop up before. My goal is to um, have this application done before New Year's of 2027. Let me check. I have to check my videos after I upload them to. Good morning, everybody. It is 10. Good morning, Morty. Um, I have to check these all the time because, like, every once in a while, one of them just won't work. And so it just needs to be re-uploaded. It's not that big of a deal. But anyways, it looks like I did create myself a nice little README. So I want to create a service that emits a signal. So I want to create a brand new service. And the thing is um, I've sort of, if you watched my last video about 3JS, like I've gotten into this thing where I, when I think about services, I'm thinking like, is this a runtime or is this a deferred um, service? So I believe I already have one service, right? Is that right? No, no. Okay, so that's in my other voice thing, which is called flashcards. I believe I already have a service, but here I don't have any services. I know I'm going to need two services, and one service is going to be for um, interacting with the API. So it's basically going to be my interface to the voice recognition API. The other service is going to be for interactions with the routing. So, and the routing, I don't believe needs to know anything about the service, about the voice recognition service, but the voice recognition service needs to know about the routing. So what does that mean? That means that for the voice recognition service, routing is a construction time dependency. Like it won't know what the locale is if it doesn't have a service. So that is how that works. Is that right? Yes. So the way say hello is going to work is, yeah, it'll go here and then um, if you go here, it'll know that EN and US, EN is the language, US is the region, and then EN dash US is the locale. And so my routing service is going to just it's going to know. So there, it will have a little bit like it'll know that something's called a route. It's going to know that there's something called a language. It's going to know that there's something called a region, and it's going to know that there's something called a uh, a um, locale, and it's going to know how to take a region and a language and turn them into a locale. So that's really all it. It's going to know. It's going to know how to. It's going to know how to get a service from Angular that knows how to get information from the routes. So that's where we're at. Now, for some reason, so let's go and just say hello, npm. For some reason, I thought that, no, um, npm start. For some reason, I thought I already had it where it was pushing it to enus, but I don't see any kind of service like. And now, if we look, what I will typically do in my package of Angular is I will create things here. So yeah, so I have never created a service. Okay, and I think I just want a pretty simple file structure. I think I just want it to be like services because I don't think there'll ever be more than two services. If we, I think two is, I think literally all we're gonna have is the routing service and the uh, listening service. So it did go to enus. I don't know why. Oh, it's probably because in my route, I actually in my app routes. Yeah. So this is pushing us to enus. So now I want something that listens to, and then then like if I were to type in esus, like it would be like, oh, okay, there's a whole new reload with esus. And then like on the other side, so yeah, so I I will likely have some ways to change what the route is based in the UI so the user can interact. And one of the things I really want to make sure is that when the user interacts in the UI, all it changes is the route. It doesn't do any other logic. It doesn't so it should not change like the locale itself. It should not do anything other than UI stuff. It should, but anything that is about um, setting the region and the locale and all that stuff should be should be in, should be driven from the route. But I guess like things like actually turning it on and turning it off and stuff like that, I guess that would come from the UI directly. So that I was kind of making this rule where it was like only the route should have any effect, but that's not true because we're not like I don't want to change the route for when someone clicks a button to have a chance to try to say hello. Um, so anyways, so I want to create a new service. So we're going to do that. And it looks like this is actually the first time that I'm actually getting to actually write code. Okay, so we know we not want two services, but I'm just going to only do one now, and that one's going to be routing. I'm going to say SH for say hello, routing service. And then we are going to run the ng command, ng, and it needs quotes, ng, is it build ng, I think it's like G for generate, and then S for service, and then services slash SH routing. I think that's what I want to do. And I think what this will do is it will create a SH routing. Now, it breaks my heart. I'm not happy about this, but I'm absolutely not going to get sucked into the whole VITE unit testing debacle that seems to have happened. Maybe it isn't a debacle. Maybe it's working great for them. To me, it seems like what we here in the States call a shit show. Seems like they have decided to just do it and not think it through, and now we are all suffering for it. But I'm probably just being dramatic. I'm either being way, way like off the deep end dramatic, or I'm being completely undramatic. And so npm, hey baby, planters, run my plants. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. npm run sh shrouding service. npm run shrouding service. So I'm hoping that there'll be a new folder called services, and that there'll be a this here. All right. So what I was going to say was it's breaking my heart, but I do. Oh, so I'm either being completely over the head dramatic, like Chicken Little, or I'm being completely under dramatic. Um, so I hope I'm being over dramatic. I hope that we're one or two versions of Angular away from VITE maturing enough and Angular sort of bending enough or whatever um, for us to be able to test things effectively in the in the browser context. But my gut tells me that it's I think unit test was having a hard time anyways, like trying to justify itself. And now I think they've like it was like a 50-50, and I think they sort of pushed it to the part where it's probably not going to make it, but maybe it will. I hope it does. I really do. I'm pulling for unit tests. I'm hoping that this either they roll back to Karma Jasmine um, to supporting that instead of VITE, or maybe they have multiple things or something, but I don't think that is. But anyway, so I'm just deleting my unit test files. They are, if I'm not planning to do them, they are in the way. SH routing. All right, so we have our new router. It's injectable. It's in the root. Um, and it needs, actually, I'm very curious. So let's create a constructor here. So actually, this question came up in my other video to me. Like no one asked me, but I should start going live at least for like 2 hours every Saturday morning or something. But SH routing lives. So I'm curious. So literally all I've done is created it for root. I have no idea if it exists yet. Does not look like it. And see, it won't. And that was one of the things that I realized is if you don't use inject, you aren't really guaranteed that it's going to exist because they only create it if it's needed. So, um, anyway, so nothing is instantiating this routing service. I kind of wish it was named dot service. It is in the services folder. And this application really isn't big enough. Yeah, I think it's okay. Well, let's just do this. Let's do it this way, service. I think it's okay in the name here, but I mean, while we're here, we might as well add dot service. It doesn't hurt anything. Now, this is kind of like one of the like I'm always mixed feelings on whether I should come in here and finish it, like add the dot service. You know what? I'm just gonna do it, and then I'm just gonna come over here and I'm just gonna delete it. Delete it. Let's see what we get. I'm hoping we'll get a dot service. There we go. And we delete this. And then we hit this. And then we have our constructor again. Because I would kind of like, I hope I can remember. Okay. And this is SH routing service. I think I might be overdoing it a little bit. I probably am, but I'm probably over engineering this a little bit, but like I don't think it's going to hurt anything. Although it is so weird that we have scroll bars over here. Um, that is very strange. Don't quite understand why we have scroll bars. Let's come over here. If I just remove this altogether. Do we still have scroll bars? We do not. So for some reason, this H1, I bet you if we get rid of the H1s, the scroll bars go away. Yep. But for some reason, if they're in the H1s, which is very weird, and not worth, to me, it's not worth um, tracking down what that's all about. I think, okay, I gotta try H2. Okay, what about this? What about div? If it's just in a div, does it? And then if I put it in a div in an H1. And you may be wondering, like, man, why would you put in this time on this right now, trying to figure this out? And it's like, well, I mean, it just doesn't get easier than this, right? Like this is like when you're right at the beginning and you just see something and there's hardly any moving parts. So even in there, we get to once we get that H1 just blows it up. When the new one's coming out, I don't. So weird. Like it's showing it this big. Is it something in the body? It's probably something in the body. See this height 100%, I think it's for some reason this is adding on um, instead of being part of, like it's not part of, see the body's starting, for some reason the body's being driven down. Even though the margin is 0. Does this have a margin? See this, I don't think has a margin either. Does this have a margin? No. The H1, all right. So if I say display, so display contents, it goes away for that H1. Flex, it's in, see inline, it goes away. Inline block, it goes away. Inline flex, inline grid. And I think this is, okay, so this is, see, it's like, see the space above and below? I think that's the space. Like the body only gets to start at the top, but there's like space that's being created by this H1. See, it's this 18 margin on this H1. So I wonder if I make this display block. This is like another thing that you kind of figure out right at the beginning and then block. No. Flow root. Interesting. So display flex, if we make this a display flex, then the problems go away, which is weird. And it's because it's like almost like, I guess see so let's get rid of this. Um, the div is like not in holding it's not containing the H1. Like H1, see the div is only this little blue thing across the here, but like the H1 is bigger than the div, and then the body isn't until the top of the actual text. So it's like the margin, the body is not containing the margin. I'm curious about that. So Angular 21 project, and is the initial app component. There is an H1 in there, and it is causing scroll bars to appear, vertical scroll bars. Okay. So it's saying that if I set the margin and the padding to 0 in the styles, that problem will go away. I don't think that's the case, but See, I think they're already, but we'll try it. We'll try it. I don't think. Yeah, that didn't fix it. All right. So now it's saying if I take the H1 and make it a margin of 0, that would also fix the problem. Okay. So yeah, so that's not working. Okay, so yeah, so the body is set to 100%, but the H1 has a margin above it, and the body is not including the H1. H1's margin. H1 is collapsing the body margin, so instead of H1 sitting inside the body, it's escaping outside that. It makes it look like the body is 100 plus extra. So yeah, so why? Why? Maybe it's important. I don't. This is classic Angular behavior. This is not classic CSS. I don't understand why it has become such a finger pointer. I'm just so curious. Like, so this is finger pointing. This is finger pointing. And it's not not accurate or helpful. I have noticed a massive increase in this finger pointing behavior in ChatGPT. Um, a lot of people are complaining about a lot of people that I know are complaining about this. It comes off as very naggy and um, uh, okay, so this is a combo of Angular. The way Angular does things, and the way CSS does things. And then, so, okay, on its own, because yeah, you wouldn't normally run into this. Like if you're just a regular web developer and you're not using any frameworks and all that, you're just not going to run into this. This is an Angular and CSS thing, and so yeah, so I don't why okay. So now H1, the margin effect ends up sitting above the S, which is above the body. doesn't contain it, and you get the overflow. Clean way to handle it. CSS H1 margin top. I don't want to do that. Contain its children. Okay, so we did see that in the choice flow root. This keeps the baby instead of, yeah, see, it feels like that's the right thing too. This does not feel like the right thing. Oh, well, no, that feels like the right thing. Actually, I think I like the flow root thing. I'm curious. Okay, how long is how supported is flow root? Has flow root been in the spec? Is it? See, it's like I've sometimes you'll I this is probably fine, but sometimes there'll be something that's pretty new and it's just not like in all browsers yet. And okay, so 2015, and then broad. Okay, so body. So I do want this display flow root. And hopefully that fixes. Yep. All right. So that is good. I don't. I added it. So I added this, and everything seems good. I'm going to see if there's a problem with the HTML. I just don't know if there's a sort of something weird about it being in HTML. Maybe it does it. Oh, it's one worth knowing. You technically only need one level to stop the but usually the body is enough. Put it on. Isn't wrong. It's just a bit redundant. All right. In the back of your mind, if you later switched layouts, flex grid body. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that this is why you don't run into it too often is because I did see that if like we made the body flex or something, um, I don't that it would that it fixes the issue as well, but I would rather I think this makes a lot of sense. I think it's a good idea. Anyway, so now back to the program, wrong one. Okay. So we have our service. We know it doesn't exist yet, right? If we had F12, it does not exist in the console yet. Now, this service's job is to listen to the routing. We do know that we will want to know the routing in probably in the app service. App. We're not 100% sure on that, but I think we'll probably need it. So what I want to do is I want to create I want to use the injector. I want to create a reference to it. So it's going to be, I believe we go private is how we typically do it. Private sort of disconnects it. Like if it's got private in front of it, you know it's not on the template. I don't know if there's any use to that, but so I want to go and then I want to do that. And then this is going to be sh routing. And the only thing that the reason I want to use my routing service here instead of um, like just using the router directly is because I actually want the uh, I actually want the language and the region and the locale. So so there's that. And I don't, I think the rule is it didn't have to be 2 letters. Right now, I think there are some that are 3 letters and stuff. But I believe this is called SH routing service. And this is equal to inject. SH routing service. So it actually then for us got rid of it did the inject for us. Guess at some point I was trying to use a signal. Oh, I think by default it comes with a signal because it wants to connect the front end to the signal. And then that's kind of what really screwed things up because it's very difficult to unit test signals. At least it was. As of the last I knew, as of March 28th, 2026, it was very, very difficult to inject a signal. I mean, to unit test signals. All right, so now we have our shouted service. Now does it exist? Yes, now it exists. So if we don't have this called, I just want to double check that the import of top isn't what's causing it to exist. I don't think it exists. It is. So it doesn't exist. Now it exists. So if we were to get like a reference to the injector directly and say, hey, give me my SH routing service, it would not be able to give it to you because it doesn't exist. Until someone asks for it, it doesn't exist. Until it's asked for. So all right, so now we got our SH routing service, and now our SH routing service needs an instance of some, okay, there's various routing services. And have never sat down and just really worked through what the various routing services are. So, and when you should use them, and when you shouldn't use them. So there are various routing services. This is not sure when each service really what conditions what the conditions are. Services should be used. Okay, so I did not say this. I did not say it felt a bit scattered. I said I hadn't worked through it. I don't know why it's doing that. I feel like there's like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it just seems like there's like a blame built into this. Yes, Angular routing can feel a bit scattered at first. Instead of listening to them mechanically, it's easier to think in terms of what you're trying to do right now. What I want to do, so when you want to navigate, you want to use this router. Okay, that makes sense. When I want to read info, you want to use activated route. Okay, I like that. Router link, that's good. That's a good one for linking. Router outlet, that's basically, this is like a component that dynamically updates based the content inside of it based on the route. Guards, should navigation be allowed? Resolvers, get data before the page loads. I've never known that. So resolver. I've never actually done a resolver before. At least not like where like, oh, I need a resolver. Um, mental mode. Okay. Okay. So basically, yeah, I feel like these resolvers are and guards are overused. And I definitely have injected router everywhere. Okay, so I have a service. and I want it to emit signals based on the current route. Um, I also want so it seems like activated route is the way to go. Now, again, like, could I have just copy and pasted some stuff and not sat down and like just really try to understand when and how to use different various routing services and stuff? Sure. Yeah, I mean, I've done it thousands of times. I've literally gotten tons and tons of work done with these things and just never really had to think through it. But like, why am I here? I'm not here to just blindly get stuff done. There's a million reasons why I'm here. I feel like every single day I say a different reason why I do these things, but definitely one of them is to actually be able to take the time to really understand things that I just kind of use. Okay, here, and it matters a lot. Activated route is tied to a specific component instance, not the global state. Usually leads to stale data, wrong route. Okay, or it's just updated. Okay, so, oh my God. So that's so funny because I feel like the guidance game before was that I should use activated route. But here we are back, and that everybody overuses router. Everyone just uses router, but and then here we are. It's like, oh yeah, don't use activated route, use router. Um, okay, so I just need the params though. That is true. Okay, in a component. Oh, okay. So like routes. Okay, so router outlet could have router outlets within router outlets within router outlets. And I guess what they're saying is that Angular does a bunch of stuff for you in your to make it your context. So if you're in a route way down here, like maybe all you care about is like the fifth or sixth thing down there, an activated route works through that for you. And but if you actually need the actual full route, you want the router. So let's go ahead and do that. Um, okay, so does it just kind of give me a rundown? And I don't want to do it two signal, like it's just no point. I guess I don't know why I did this, but and then it didn't even show me the stuff that I actually need. Okay, so we definitely want this. Now, like the first thing, because of just where my head is and stuff right now, I'm thinking is, oh, okay, I'm using inject, but is do I need to inject the routing service? Like when I go in the router, would it ever inject the routing service? No, because that's outside of my control. So I guess it's just a blind rule is you could always do an inject of like a third party thing or a core thing. So router, though, I believe it, so inject comes from core, but I think router comes from a specific thing for. Let's just try to do it manually by hand. Import, and I'm more doing this just so it'd be easier to remember in the future. Router, I believe it comes from this guy at Angular router. It's not the only thing in router. There are other things, but okay, so now we have our own router. Now in the constructor here, this is where you kind of set up your events. Subscribe. And everything I always say, oh, okay, because yeah, the router sends out all kinds of stuff, but we only want to care all kinds of different events. So this filters out all of everything except for navigation end. So, and then, so basically this is a big filtering thing. If that wasn't there, then I guess this will run over and over again. So I do want to kind of try that though. Let's see. So if we do this, if we say this dot router dot events. Okay, and so we're doing that, and I think we could probably just subscribe to it. Okay, so we skipped the whole pipe thing, right? We're just subscribing to router events. And then we're just going to call this events. And there they typed it to navigation event end. I think there's probably like a navigation. Is that, I wonder if that's illegal. Legal. Looks like, yeah, navigation. So we're getting a navigation, and then we're going to do this, and I don't know why. So let's just go with any right now. Just make sure that's not the issue. Console.log, and then events, comma, events. Now, one thing I like to do is, and many times this works, I can just call this a string, and then it'll tell me what it is. It'll be like, that can't be a that. No. Okay, so, oh, it's called an event. Event. And then I'm guessing that comes from probably here, the router. Yep, that was a total guess. Um, what is navigation? This is what I try to use. Information about navigation operations. Navigation object. What is event? Okay, and it's kind of interesting because then it gives you all. There's a navigation start, navigation end, navigation cancel, navigation error, routes recognized. So now we're going to console. So we're console logging our events, right? Which we should get a whole bunch of them. Okay, so here are all the events we got. Right, so, and they're all the same, but this is a navigation end. This is a child activation end, resolve end, resolve start, guard check end, activation start, child activation start, guard start, routes recognized, and then navigation start. So these are things, and I think the only one I care about is that. So when we go over here, it gives us this pipe that we can use. And this pipe, what it does is it actually filters out. It uses an RxJS operator called filter. So I believe this filter comes from RxJS, but I think it's like in dash ops or something like that, or maybe not. So you could, yeah, either way, I could. The nice thing about operate bringing it in for operators is it's an operator. Um, so I'm just gonna say from RxJS, and then just gonna hijack that one up there, and so that's saying, hey, go ahead and filter out anything that isn't, or basically it's like filter's the wrong word, right? Because filter is saying, well, so the way we've sort of in JavaScript set up filter is you tell it what you're looking for. So we're saying filter out everything that isn't an instance of navigation end. I could definitely see that being the other way around though, like filter out everything that is navigation end and give me everything that's so it's just one of those things where like the language is a bit imprecise, but either sort of way is um would have been appropriate, and we just kind of chose one way. So theoretically, we should be able to. I don't know what's happening now. Built. So something weird is going on, and I don't really. So we did. Oh, I guess it was. Oh, it was probably transpiling. That's so weird that Vite is talking. Wonder if I can delete it. I don't know. I guess that little bit of annoyance every day about this will keep me reminded about unit tests because I would like to get back into them. I really learned a lot doing unit tests. All right, so now we only have one thing, and it's URL after redirects or URL. Either one of them is fine. I guess we want, I don't know. I guess I want URL after redirects. Okay, so I see that navigation and has two attributes: URL and URL after redirects. Now, since all I care about is the final URL, um, it seems like URL after redirects is the safer option. Yep. Okay. So I guess the idea is that like if I were to, let's try this. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that makes sense. So this was URL that, and then it goes there. So what if I do? I don't know what happens if I do this. Okay. Yeah. So I don't care about what they try to go to. I cared about what they went to. So I want to do like another function called, oop, wrong one, wrong place. And this is like process your uh, process. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to process the, what are those things called? Parameters, process params, process. locale params. I know it. And this thing, I believe URL redirect is probably a string. I mean, yeah, so params is string, and this is going to return a Boolean. And for now, I'm just always going to return true. True, and then I'm just going to say console log process params. Now, let's see what we got. Oh, we aren't calling it. Okay, process. This dot process params, locale params, and events dot URL. What am I doing wrong? And dot URL after redirects. Maybe I'm pulling in the wrong, because it seems like this event isn't, or is it called events? Let's call this event. Just like above, it's weird to call it events. Okay. Oh, I should call it navigate. I see. My guess is not all of the events have URL redirects. I think that's what it's telling me. Yeah, URL after, but I bet you it does exist on navigation end. Yeah, so the navigation end object does have a URL redirect, but the events, all the events don't have them. So now let's see if we get our process params. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to publish. Okay, well, first of all, so const is our locale. Is it locale? Yeah, locale. No, yeah, locale is equal to params dot, and then is it replace? Replace, and we want to replace our slash, right? Is it a slash? Yeah. We want to replace, so it has two slashes. Okay, so we want to remove the first slash. I think if we do this, it'll actually just remove one of them. And let's see. I think all it does, I think we have to put a slash, a comma slash G if we want it to be all of them. I believe the G stands for global. Okay, let's see what we get. And then we want to do a second replace, which we're allowed to do. Replace dash replace. I thought we were allowed to do that. So this should be our locale. So, and this is the only thing that knows how to break up a param with these slashes into a locale. Like this is the only place that knows how to do that. Now, if this was going to be a massive application, we might have to do a lot of like analysis of like, oh, okay, well, who should know how to do that? But to me, it seems like the router is the one that should know how to take parameters and turn them into useful information. right, so we don't need this one up here anymore. And then, so that's our locale. And then, so now our, and we're just going to assume everything works, right? So, but our region, no, our language is equal to locale dot split by slash and 0. Okay, so I think what we would say is params is, okay, comma. This is where it like really helps, I think, where is typically um, and then a locale is like this. And these sorts of like when you're doing this string manipulation stuff in general, a few comments can really help make a difference. And then a language. You'd just be absolutely amazed at how much people, hey baby, how much people appreciate this language and then region. Region is like this. And so those are like kind of the three things that we want to communicate to like any kind of different system. Might want to know what the locale is. They might want to know what the language is. They might want to know what the region is. So I think I can't remember exactly how to do this, but what we want to do is create a writable signal. And then I'm going to listen, I'm going to publish on that writable signal. Now, typically, they're sort of against that because you probably should publish on a computed signal or at least subscribe on expose through a computed signal because a computed signal is not, or even a regular signal. I think a regular signal is a computed signal, can't be changed. Whereas once I give an instance of the actual full-blown writable signal, like anything that has a uh, a reference to it can do it. So like on a really, really big application that you think is going to get really big, you probably do want to separate that because it's going to be really tough, especially if you're working with multiple people. It's going to be so hard to figure out that somebody has used a writable signal. But so, and I believe I want to make this public, but I don't know that you have to, I don't think you have to say it's public. But so I'm going to call this locale. And it is a writable single. I've never done a writable string. I think it's part of core. Isn't it part of core? Let's find out. Yeah, writable signal. So this is a writable signal. So this is a signal that can be modified. That means that if anybody can get any kind of reference to this, they can, and then I think you tell it what, this is how you tell it what it blows out. They can new signal. Do you do it this way? I think it's But I think that comes from here. Signal. I'll bet you it's writable signal. Oh, maybe it's like this. Is it this? It's just don't do this very often, so it's like, how do you create a writable signal? Oh, I think they actually did give us one down here. Oh, import to signal. Okay, I didn't want to do it. I don't want to use to signal. I want to have a little bit more control. Um, how do you create a writable signal? And the one thing I think I've learned is with the signals, you don't want to get the data, if at all possible, directly from the signal into your TypeScript and then take that data and put it into um, put it on the template. What you would rather do is, okay, so why did I think you had to name it writable signal? Yeah, they're definitely not immutable, but I think they're immutable. Okay, wait, now what is the deal with writable signals? Hmm. Okay, okay, so it's just, I guess it is just signal. I could have sworn it had to be writable signal. They're saying I could just do this. Okay, signal. I don't know. And it is lowercase. I'm just gonna try this signal. Then I'm gonna try this signal. And then how did they do this? So they actually don't strongly type it. Um, how do you strongly type it? See, because these are not like typed at all. Ah, this is a good one. Okay, so yeah, this is kind of okay. Guess you don't. Can you type it on the left? Yeah, I don't know. So I'm gonna get rid of this. It doesn't look like you even use the new. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Let's see what happens. Ah, that was my problem. Okay, I think, does this make sense? Let me see. It's curious. I feel like that is right, but maybe not. Okay, okay, cool. You don't actually need generic on the type signal. Yeah, I don't. Okay, so now I have a locale writable signal, and then see this is where like Agile just really falls apart because like that first one, right, took 5 minutes. Let's say 5 minutes. The second one and the third one are only going to take like 5 seconds, and then they will only take 5 seconds. But then if I ever have to do it again, it'll probably take 5 minutes again, right? Like they don't just life just isn't nearly as um, defined as Agile seems to think it is. I just know so many good, hardworking, intelligent people that just really believe in this stuff and in Agile, and it's just so it's hard for me because I don't really believe in it. And so this will publish locale. I really wish they had called that publish instead of set. But I like to say that all the time because um, I find that it's like the day that I find out why they don't do it, I'll be very glad. It'll make a lot more sense to me because I'll be like, oh, okay. Oh, region. All right. Now we'll have our thing. Everything seems happy. I don't see any errors. I don't think this console log is doing us any good anymore. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. And let's get rid of this guy here. And that. And then that. In our app, we want to be able to know that we want, basically, I guess all we want is the locale. And so I guess this shouldn't be private. Guess that's not how you're supposed to do that anymore. Guess what you're supposed to do, I think, is like this. Locale. Believe this is what you want to do. And I think yep, so that worked. Um, I think the reason, okay, and I think you can always avoid, um, so this is English, US. I think you can avoid um, breakages if you what do I try to say? You can avoid breakages if you don't get it into the TypeScript and then try to print it. If you just go straight like I just did. For years and years and years, though, people were against this, um, having exposing the actual service to the template. I don't really know why. They just didn't like it. People just didn't like that. Okay, so we do have the yes, and I feel like this is actually the end of this task. Um, I guess I want to maybe we'll put this in a table. And this one is called locale. This one is called something else, and this one's called something else. And then we got language and region. And we got get rid of that. I think this one's called language. And I think this one's called region. There we are. We got our locale, we got our language, we got our region. And that's really all we were supposed to do in this episode or in this um, version or this issue. This issue was to just show the language and region. So let's get rid of this console log here because I do want to commit this, push it, merge it. Um, so basically what we've done is we've defined everything, gotten the router all set. And I think the router service is probably done. Like I don't think it's ever going to need any more stuff, at least not for, I can't think of anything that needs to be done in the routing service. I could be wrong, but I don't think we need to keep the README. Oh, we do need to update the Cypress test. And this is super important because, yeah, who knows how this is going to work. I actually think it's going to work pretty well on our at GitHub and all that. So update Cypress test, and then we want to test on I like email on local. I I like email. Yeah, let's look at it in this view here. Oh, it's going to do a commit, but on GitHub. And it's not GitHub though, it's Git something. What is it? So this is called Say Hello. I think it should be in my history. So there's I like email, and then I don't think this is it. I think this is the actual GitHub. I think is it in our packages? I think we actually it's our GH pages. Is GH branches? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it's at. Where it puts it out at. Um, so here's our deploy GitHub. GH pages, yeah. I can't believe I can't remember where it is. I could have sworn it was say hello, but I don't think so now. Now I guess it's probably not. This is our, what is this one called? I know it's like an IO. GitHub. See, this is the actual GitHub page. And then I could have sworn we had. Can you get to it from here? I wonder. Public unfin. Okay, where does GitHub? Okay, who cares? We'll work it out next week. Um, so I definitely want to. Let's go back to our package, not our package, our README. Let's go into this view here and GitHub. I'm just gonna say GitHub. So and I do know that we have in fact documented in Cypress where that GitHub is it in the config? So okay. So where's our config? Cypress config. So this is our base URL. Oh, it's probably in this package. There it is. HTTPS Marty the party GitHub IO. Say hello. All right, so I'm going to go back to my README. And so I don't even know if this is going to work. Well, okay, so we have to test it manually because I don't think. Um, and the reason we have to test it manually, I just always have to remind myself of this because it's just such a weird thing. And if you, so you see, we get a 404 back, and that just immediately, when Cypress sees a 404, it assumes there's an error, which I think is a fair assumption. But the folks over here at GitHub.io decided to go a different route to handle these URLs because no there's no file structure for enus, right? So like there's a say hello out there, but there isn't an en or a us folder. It just uses that on the front end, but it returns a 404 to start. So we can't really use Cypress to test this, but we can use it for I like email and the site, and then manually go and test whatever it is that we're worried about on GitHub. So this one won't be as reliable, right? Like I might build it out and something might break and I may not be able to, I'll be less likely to run across it just naturally. So anyways, happy coding everybody. Bye.